All right, we get it rolling on the Krug Show from Levi's after the 49ers beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here in Week 11. We're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. We're also brought to you by Marin Auto Glass, and of course New York style Italian sausage, as well as Underdog Fantasy and Mojo Fantasy. Guys, let's hit the music here. There we go. The phenomenal StreamYard tunes. Feeling good about this one. 49ers get a nice win. And what can you say? 49ers look good today. They look good any way you want to slice it. And it was a all around performance. Purdy looked good. Aiyuk had his best career day. George Kittle was strong. Niners offensive line stood up and played well. The Niner defense shut out Chris Godwin in the first half of the game, and only allowed the one catch to Mike Evans in the first half of the game. It was a very one-sided performance for the 49ers. They get a win. And now they get a quick turnaround, right? Because they got the quick turnaround. They play Thursday in Seattle. They'll be wearing the white throwbacks. Brock Purdy's favorite uniform are those white throwbacks, and they will be wearing them. They'll be wearing them in Seattle on Thursday night. Seattle, I guess, has had an injury to Kenneth Walker today, so they're probably not going to be quite 100%. And the 49ers, who looked so bad a couple weeks ago against the Bengals, now go to Jacksonville, knock them off, and then come home and really beat up on this Buccaneer team pretty good and get a convincing win. They didn't score 30, but it was 27-14. 49ers, if you're one of these guys that evaluates these games based on the box score, I would say don't, because the 49ers defensively dominated this game way more than the stats indicate. They allowed Baker Mayfield to kind of play pitch and catch with throwing about 15 different out patterns, all in the last quarter of the game, just to allow the clock to run down. Let's go around the room and talk about our takeaways. Everybody's invited today to the show, so we're right out of the chute. We got Kev in the house. Kev is actually back from Cal Poly, so he's now back in the creek. What you're looking at there is his elaborate bedroom setup. And then, of course, bottom of the screen, the great Bay Area Baller, who is as good as it gets content-wise, and everybody should give Baller a follow on his channel. And Kev, can we get everybody's name up there, or do we can't do that? Let's get Baller's thing up there. There we go. Bay Area Baller 18. So look at Baller's handle underneath his name. That's his channel. And I'd love everybody who joins us here to go hit a like and subscribe over at Baller's channel. He puts out big, awesome content. He's a good friend, and he's been with us for the entire season. Ryan, Danny are going to jump in at some point. JD's in the house. He's going to join us. Damon's doing his own show, and he'll jump in with us. But guys, let's go around the room right now. What did you guys think of the game?
Niners were in control from the opening kickoff, right? Forced the 3-and-out, and then the second drive, that was the touchdown drive with the 49ers' second possession. And McCaffrey, that was his drive. I loved his touchdown catch. I love the design of it, right? Where it was shuffle left. We've seen McCaffrey do that throughout this year, and usually he goes out on a route on that side of the field, but no. Shanahan, who was in his bag today, designed that play spectacularly. McCaffrey ran through the offensive line across the formation, leaked out for that touchdown.
I described it as kind of running through the trash. So if you guys can remember this play, pre-snap, CMC goes in motion the opposite direction of the direction he would run the pattern to, right? And then at the snap, he just kind of runs through the trash on the line of scrimmage there, and it essentially acted like a pick, right? It was almost like a pick on his man. That was a very well thrown ball that was put right on the hands, but if Purdy had put that thing anywhere, there was no way they could defend it. They didn't have a defender anywhere close to that play. That was beautiful play design.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Brock Purdy was exceptional today. He was dialed in, just numerous throws that I felt were impressive, whether it was to Brandon Aiyuk, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel. All of the weapons showed up, right? When you're talking about the big four, all of them made plays. Brock took care of the ball. He was dialed in. Brandon Aiyuk was creating loads and loads of separation. He's establishing himself as, one of the top 10 wide receivers in the NFL. This was a coming out party for Brandon Aiyuk. George Kittle had his impact. And I want to touch on the linebackers because I thought the linebackers were exceptional today. Fred Warner, obviously he punches the ball out of Baker Mayfield's hand, forcing a turnover there, multiple pass breakups, making tackles all over the field. And then Dre Greenlaw, I thought, was also exceptional. Those two were the reasons why I think the Niners were able to shut down the run of the Buccaneers and Rachaad White. Hats off to those. I know Dre wants that interception. One clanked off his mitts, but the linebackers were phenomenal today.
Kev, what do you think? I mean, Brock Purdy, by the way, completed, I think, 84% of his passes. He was 21 of 25, 333, 3 touchdowns. He was sacked 4 times. He had a perfect 158.3 passer rating.
Yeah,
you don't see that every day.
Yeah, and he's the first Niner quarterback to do it since Joe Montana back in 1989, and he's the
I've
first.
Heard of him.
He's a pretty good quarterback, and he's the first 49ers quarterback to ever do it with over 20 pass attempts. So, I mean, we're going to talk a lot about Purdy today, but he had a phenomenal day. And how about that pass to Brandon Aiyuk? How about that? What was that? 70 yards? 70 yards to Brandon Aiyuk. I mean, all the dink and dunk talk. I mean, I know we're rehashing it, but I that's the first thing I thought of because he unleashed that ball. Like when he released it, I'm like, oh, that ball's that's going far. And it right into the breadbasket. Beautiful throw, touchdown, great win. I think the only negative that I saw was that they got beat a lot on in-seam routes. Or not in-seam routes, just seam routes down the field. And those kind of gave up a lot of yards. So the defense obviously has to work on that. And, Jair Brown showed out today. But, overall good win. And they're playing again in a few days. So
yeah, if you missed this one, don't worry. You'll see him again Thursday night. We welcomed the great Dan Coach Emilio to the show, a veteran of many a live stream, joins us from the desert. Danny, what was your takeaway on this one? This was an awful fun game to watch.
Yeah, it was a good game. I think
Rye's in the house as well.
All right, hey Rye. No, I just thought Purdy played just practically a perfect game. I mean, his rating was 150. He had a perfect rating, quarterback rating today. Just phenomenal. I was watching the touchdown pass to Aiyuk because I was curious how long was the ball in the air. He let it go from the 16-yard line, and Aiyuk caught it at the 40 something. It was 41 yards, whatever. I can't do it in my head right now, but it was 41 yards in the air. So I was just curious, how long of a pass he let fly.
Did you say 15? He threw it at the 15 and it landed
16.
at 41?
16 and somewhere around the 4. I know whatever it was.
Kev, you're our math guy. What is that?
Well, say it again.
Oh, look at that.
16 to what?
I'm not sure. It was 41 yards. So what was it? What was that? 34 to the 50 plus another 7. So he must have caught it about the 43.
Yeah. I'll just look it up right now.
Yeah,
look it up.
I mean, in the air, the ball in the air, the actual pass was what, 76-yard TD. So
77, yeah. I mean, just an incredible performance from Purdy. I mean, I asked him. It's funny. Kittle took the podium, and he mentioned the question that I asked Purdy last week. Did you hear that one, Kev?
I saw that.
Did you see that?
Cool. Yeah.
So I asked Purdy last week, guys. I said, how do you balance this desire to protect the football and, be patient and check it down versus the, competitive fire that you have to, stay aggressive and be, in attack mode. And he talked about, not playing with any fear and not playing timid, and just, you gotta be cognizant of the fact that you need to take care of the ball, but you have to almost forget that there's pressure and just try to block out any fear of failure. I thought it was really interesting. And then the fact that George glommed onto it and said, yeah, when I heard him say that, I really liked hearing that mindset from him. Was really cool to hear. And I mean, today, I'll throw it to you guys. Was this the best of Brock Purdy today? Was this his best performance? And if not, what is his best performance? A perfect passer rating, 21 of 25 for 333 and 3 touchdowns. He was sacked 4 times, but he didn't turn it over. Where would you put this one in the greatest Purdy performances we've seen thus far? Is this the best? What do you think, Rye?
The Arizona one, didn't he have like 1 incompletion? That one was close.
95% of his passes, I think, in the Arizona game. Yeah, that was crazy. Crazy.
I think I'm partial to the Arizona one, because also the 1 incompletion, like it would have been a touchdown, I think, to Aiyuk. If actually, I don't really remember. There was something to do with Aiyuk, and maybe Aiyuk got held. Maybe that one didn't count. I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Arizona week, just to be different.
They're getting stacked up so much I can't remember them all. I mean, there's only been 18 games, but he's only had the 2 or 3 bad games in his whole career.
I mean, how about the 4 touchdown game against Dallas, right? Because if you want to compare defenses, obviously we know the Cowboys, they got an upper echelon defense to put up 4 TDs, 250 in the air.
How about the playoff performance against Seattle, where he threw for 332 in his first playoff game? Thank you, sir. That was another good one.
How about last week, 19 of 26, 300 yards and 3 touchdowns? Like, he's just
the beauty of this thing is now that we've seen him for a full year, we kind of know what he is. I think people say, well, we just still don't know. No, I think we do know. I think that, and I asked Kyle about it on the podium today. I'm like, were you worried that when he started throwing interceptions that he would get kind of timid, or that he might, question himself, or that he might lose confidence, or that he might be, not letting it rip and being aggressive? And Kyle's like, you know what? I know he threw those interceptions late, but he played so well in those games in actuality. Yeah, I mean, the misery crowd on YouTube and on social media was all over him. But the truth was, and we said it at the time, you guys said it, he played great against Minnesota. He played phenomenal against Cincinnati. He just turned the ball over in the fourth quarter of those games. I mean, in that Minnesota game, he had completed 85% of his passes going to the fourth quarter. And anybody who saw that Cincinnati game, the guy was literally their entire offense. He was their best player on either side of the ball for 3 quarters. He was running for his life, making plays, keeping the Niners pretty much keeping up with Joe Burrow. He really, and that's what Kyle mentioned. Kyle said, hey, look, if he had played poorly in those games, it would have been one thing, but he actually had played so well in those games that he never really was concerned that Brock that Brock would lose confidence. But I think overall, the most gratifying part about all of this is that the crowd of people that just were so in a rush to judge the book by the cover and just say, oh, the guy is not the biggest guy. Oh, he doesn't have the broadest shoulders. Oh, he doesn't look like a quarterback would look coming out of Central Casting. He doesn't look like Herbert. He doesn't look like Josh Allen. He doesn't look like a 6'5", franchise quarterback. So we'll immediately just be like, hey, you know what? It's all about arm strength. And he doesn't have enough arm strength. And now what we're seeing, and even Kittle said it today, he's like, the guy's got plenty of arm strength. And Alex Smith said it, said it on his podcast was a week ago. He's like, people that are questioning this guy's arm strength don't even know what the hell they're watching. And it's really not even about his arm strength. I think if you want to be critical, you could say, maybe he needs to take better care of the football, looking at his 33 collegiate interceptions and some of the throws he's had in the fourth quarter of a couple games over the last month. That maybe that he's maybe a little bit too much of a riverboat gambler. And it's not really about this dink and dunk crap that all these morons keep shouting about. It's really more about, can Brock take care of the football while staying aggressive? And at least in this last two games against Jacksonville and now today against Tampa, he's done exactly that. He stayed aggressive. He's firing shots down the field, but he's also taking care of the football, and he's keeping the ball out of harm's way. Was he even close? I mean, you guys watch the TV. I'm here at the stadium. Was there any ball today that you felt like was close to a turnover?
There was one ball early in the game, maybe even his first pass of the game, that was off the backhand of a DB. It was thrown behind someone. That's the only ball I can remember.
Yeah. You talk about physique and looking at like not the big, strong quarterback. Go look at forget the shoulder pads, because the shoulder pads when Joe played were twice as big as they are today. Right. Take off the pads and look at Joe Montana in 1980. Put him and Purdy together. I mean, Joe was a skinny little guy, the pads that those guys wore made him look a lot bigger.
I mean, like you, Danny. I mean, people look at you, they don't think two gap defensive tackle who could kick ass and Reggie White physique, man. But it's an optical illusion, folks. I mean, Danny's like 6'6", 285 and runs 4.3. Hey. I mean, does he look that on the screen? Probably not.
You saw my 40 last summer, a year ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was live on the show. It was a 40 of old E, I believe. No, but overall, guys, I think the 49ers are in an interesting spot, because now you get Seattle, then you get Philly, then you get Seattle again. I didn't check out Seattle, but did they lose Kenneth Walker?
Yes. Yeah, he was like doubtful to return. It's not like a for the season thing. It's just it's actually similar to McCaffrey. It's no oblique deal. But yeah, they've got the Bird Gauntlet coming up on the schedule. It's 5 straight games against a bird.
Oh, they got they got the Cardinals in there, and who else is in there?
It's like the Bird Gauntlet. It's like 2 times Seahawks, Arizona, Eagles, and Ravens.
Ravens. Oh, on Christmas. Yeah. So they feast. It's a bird.
Teasy says Nick Wright, who's another terrible hater. He says Nick Wright goes on and on about Purdy's small hands when he literally has the same size hands as Patrick Mahomes. He actually has bigger hands than Trey Lance, who's 6'4", 240. So, I mean, hand size does matter. First of all you need to know is watch that play last week when he ripped it to Aiyuk and then decided mid throw, I see Kittle, and he pulled it back and ripped it to Kittle. If you have small hands, you can't do that.
When was the small hand? Why was that even a discussion? Like who's bringing that up? The small hands.
It's probably somebody with small hands. I don't know. So no, I have no idea. I mean, Brock's hands are 9, I think 9 1/4, something like that. Alex Smith's hands were like 8 7/8, something like that. He kind of had smaller hands. But I think Russell Wilson is known as a 5'10" quarterback, 5'11", but he's got 10 1/4 inch mitts. He's got huge hands.
What size is Penix hands? Like 11? Penix. Michael Penix.
You talking Michael Penix? He clearly has huge hands. Yeah, I mean he's got a ridiculous hand. I don't know. I mean, we'll find out when he goes to the combine. But yeah, Penix has gigantic mitts. I would say probably 11 or 12 inch hands.
He's got such an incredible spin on the ball.
The guy throws an unbelievable ball. What did you guys? Now the bad news we haven't really mentioned yet, but it looks like Kyle Shanahan said it that they're fearing the worst on Talanoa Hufanga, and it was on that play where he was he was breaking down in space, and his right knee just buckled on him, and you saw the player, kind of it was almost like a basketball play. It was almost like a guy. Who does kind of like a shimmy and you're just like kind of, he breaks the guy's ankles. But in this situation, it looked like he may have tore his ACL.
Seems like they go that way so many times in non-contact.
Yeah, I mean, so that's a bummer. We won't have any definitive word on that, but for all intents and purposes, it looked like a season-ending ACL injury. But I also had a chance to go in the locker room and talk to Jair Brown after the game, and man, there's a confident young guy, and he played really well, and I'm eager to see what he can do. I like him in the box. I like him down the field. He seems really instinctive. He's a decisive mover. You could tell in training camp this summer that he holds himself to really high standards, and came out and just, I said, hey, I asked him after the game what he needs to work on. He's like, really all aspect of his play recognition, but he thinks like the first part of the game, the first, part of the, not down the field, but like at the line of scrimmage and like the short stuff and being in the right position on all the short stuff, the quick game. He said that's what he needs to work on the most. But guys, he's probably going to get a chance to run with the ones as soon as Thursday night. And I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel very confident he's going to be fine.
Thought he gave up one big seam route to Cade Otton. But after that, he really settled in, and I thought he was real. Hufanga had given up a similar seam route. It was like they gave up, they kind of broke down on the same type of play. But after that, I thought Jair really settled in. He had a nice pass breakup on Mike Evans down in the end zone. He had the awareness to get that interception after the ball looked like it hit Greenlaw in the face, popped up. So some good instincts there. And it's next man up. Jair, this was the first selection the Niners made in this past draft in the third round. Obviously they liked him, and he's the next man up. And I thought, after giving up that seam route, I thought he was really good today.
Jeez.
Roberto Davis says Nick Wright equals prick wrong. Well, there you go. Nice. We have this one from Roberto, though. He says that touchdown pass to Aiyuk was a seed. Aiyuk has just had an unbelievable looking training camp. And then, he's caught a ton of balls, but they haven't been able to spring him for the deep ball. They haven't been able to get him the touchdowns. I believe he had 3 total touchdowns coming into week 11 here. But that was, this was Aiyuk's best game.
It was great. And, just listening to the game, the privilege of getting to listen to the games, for years it was Pat Summerall and John Madden on Fox. This Joe Davis, he's the announcer of the Dodgers, but he is talented, man. Yeah. I love listening to him call a game.
Same.
He really can get you feeling like you're he makes the game sound like it's a playoff game every game. He's good.
His crew today is what? It's him, Daryl Johnston, and Pam Oliver. Is that right?
I think so. I can't remember the sideline report. I think that's who it was. Yeah, but I just love listening to games called by Joe Davis. I mean,
you've always been a big Dodger fan.
Yeah. They sure come up with great announcers, man. Vin Scully, and then this guy follows him. He's good.
Seriously. What do you guys think of the talk that the Niners are on the verge of signing Jason Verrett? What do you think of? How do you think Verrett will impact this thing?
Well, can you move any of the corners into the strong safety position as to move? I mean, Verrett's just a corner.
He's a corner.
Slot or a corner. That's it.
Did Darrell Luter Jr. get into this game? Did you guys see? He was active.
I didn't see him. Didn't see him.
They've got one more week to decide on Womack and Luter. I guess they did activate Luter, so he's on the team, but they have one more week to decide on Samuel Womack.
Does Womack have some safety experience?
No, but like as far as their corners go, probably the guy who could probably best play safety might be Isaiah Oliver.
Yeah, coverage wise. I know it's strong safety, but still, I don't like that out there. He's slow-footed.
Yeah.
I saw some Niner content creator. I don't remember who it was, but like they posted, like when the rumors of Jason Verrett came out, they like posted a video of him locking down Antonio Brown. And it's like It was from 2015. It's like 9 years ago. So
Yeah,
I don't really think that
two
Jason
Achilles
Verrett's
and two Achilles and two ACLs prior.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean but I'll say this guy is, when he went to work out the other day for the Niners, some I think it was either Lynch. I think Lynch revealed this, that 7 different 49ers went out there to watch it. This guy has unbelievable feet, and he can stop and start and turn, and he's just got great feet. And that's why teams keep giving him chances. That's why teams keep showing interest, despite the fact that, I mean, let's be honest, the guy's totally glass. He gets hurt, he gets hurt all the time, and some major injuries, but the footwork is so intriguing. His ability to mirror NFL caliber receivers up and down the field is so exciting. When you get into November and you're looking around going, okay, the trade deadline passed, and then if you guys saw the story, supposedly the Niners and the Eagles both were hounding Denver for Surtain right up to the deadline. And, they didn't, neither team made the deal. I get the picture. I get the feeling that, that Roseman, the GM for the Eagles, was fine with not getting the deal done as long as Surtain didn't become a Niner. And I get the feeling that Lynch, was fine not getting that deal done as long as Surtain didn't become an Eagle. I think they wanted to be in the deal flow to maybe get the guy, but then they really didn't want the other team to get the guy. By the way, today not only was a great win for the Niners, it was a great win for Larry Krueger, because I had a 3-team. Listen to this, Rye. You'll love this one. I had a 3-team teaser to go in today, right? I had Buffalo -0.5 against the Jets. You had to, come on. If Buffalo didn't beat the Jets at home by 0.5, they'd probably, fold the franchise. Then I had Detroit giving, I think the spread was 8. So I had Detroit -1.
Ooh.
And I'm doing the 95.7 The Game pregame show. And I look down at the scoreboard. It says 4 minutes and 26 seconds left. Detroit 26, or Bears 26, Detroit 14.
Yeah.
So I say to O'Neal, I'm like, okay, so it looks like Detroit is good news for the Niners, bad news for me, but it looks like the Bears are going to wind up beating Detroit. I walked across the parking lot, got in the elevator, got to the 8th floor of the stadium here. I sit down. I'm like, well, the Bears at least beat Detroit. They're like, no, Detroit came back and won. I'm like, what? You got to be kidding me. And then, what was my third one, Kev? I had
you had them by 1. They were up by 1, and they got a safety.
Yeah,
I'm guessing
the Dolphins. I had the Dolphins giving 6 to the Raiders, and the Dolphins
I was sweaty.
We're down in that game, right? Or it was close. It was like within a 3-point game, and then somehow the Dolphins got some late score, and they won by 7. So I've covered the 3-teamer in just the ultimate lucky fashion.
Oh my God.
10
gambling stories. We'll talk gambling stories.
Talking about just gambling and just betting on these games across the league. Like Brock Purdy, what he did today, just to bring it back to him, it just makes me so thankful. Thanksgiving coming up. I'm so thankful that I don't have one of these absolute dog shit quarterbacks that are floated out there. These 3rd string randoms that, are just, it's literally like your eyes bleed when you watch them. So they're all across the league. Like, I don't know. There's 3 good NFC quarterbacks, 4. It's insane.
Yeah. I mean, if you said the best quarterback in the NFC, who would you go with? Hurts?
I mean, it's
Prescott's having a decent year. Purdy?
Jared Goff's been great, but he had come down day today. But after those 4, who the hell? Certainly no one in the South. The whole South is just ass.
There's not a lot of good quarterbacks in the NFL.
How do you think Carolina's feeling right now? Sounds like Frank Reich may get dumped any minute, and they took Bryce Young over C.J. Stroud, and C.J. Stroud has just been amazing.
And traded a 1st-round pick. And they still can't win. You knew it was like over because they're doing the thing where like Frank Reich, he gave away play calling duties. Now he took them back and then he gives them away. Like that whole sort of thing, that song and dance. That means you're not long for the job. But I tweeted out today that if I wish the NFL had bowl games so that like college, so that we could see Tommy DeVito versus Bryce Young.
Tommy DeVito. Is there any relation to Danny DeVito?
Danny DeVito, yeah.
Could you imagine if Danny DeVito was an NFL quarterback? I'd pay money to see that. Mark T. Engberg says the only thing more consistent than Brock Purdy is Kevin's unmade bed.
I'm very good at that. Yeah.
No, but Kev's back home. Kev came home from college today. So we're glad to have him back for a few days. Ultimately, this is how do you see the 49ers season, guys? Let's go around the room on this one because they won 5 in a row. They had beaten Dallas. They looked like world beaters. Then they lose 3 in a row. The sky's falling, and they had to get a win in Jacksonville. They got that win in Jacksonville. I mentioned it in the pregame today. If they had turned around and lost this one after beating Jacksonville, it would have been all for naught. But what do you make of the season they're having? And then what do you guys make of, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me. You'll just have to trust me. But Kyle Shanahan's with the Niners has a decent record before the bye and an overwhelmingly great record after the bye. What can you make sense of that? How come the Niners can always circle the wagon? Go ahead, Baller. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, this is a Super Bowl contending team. And, it's going to come down to, in my opinion, Niners and Eagles. One of those two teams are coming out of the NFC and are going to be represented in the Super Bowl. That's just how I look. That's the top tier in the NFC. And as for Brock Purdy, to answer your guys' question, I'm rolling with my guy. I think he's the best quarterback in the NFC right now, just the way he's playing.
Better than Hurts.
Lights out. Better than Hurts. I know Hurts is, the knee, he's a little dinged up. And, it's close between those two. But if it's close, how could I not roll with my guy, Brock Purdy, who I think's been playing really good ball? You mentioned it earlier, Larry. Even in the 3 losses, man, for 80% of those games, he was playing lights out. And then he kind of fell off. But I think that could be corrected. But what I want to contribute a lot of this kind of the turnaround after the bye to is I think Wilkes has made some adjustments. The addition of Chase Young obviously helps too. But what I'm seeing from Wilkes is he's bringing up the linebackers in the A gap, right? I call it mugging the gap. He's kind of confusing the O-line a little more. I didn't see the 5-man front this week, but he brought back the 5-man front last week. So I see some adjustments that he's made, and the D-line is performing as I think we all expected, right? Today, I thought Nick Bosa was really good again today. Eric Armstead had a sack, and Chase Young was the main reason for that sack. He's been bending the edge, making Baker Mayfield step up. Baker threw it like 45 times today, and the average completion was only like 5.5 yards. You compare that to Brock Purdy, who was averaging over 13 yards of completion, just gashing that Bucs defense. Brandon Aiyuk was creating tons of separation. And that long one that we talked about earlier, he just completely roasted Jamel Dean right off the line of scrimmage, stacked them, and Purdy laid it out. This is a Super Bowl caliber team, Larry, and it might be a bit homer, but I think this is the year we're getting it done.
Wouldn't that be something? I did see one stat that's unbelievable. I got to throw your guys' way on Purdy. And it was, I got to look for it here. Thank you, sir. The quotes are coming out of the locker room left and right. We'll get to some of those quotes here in a second. But Purdy had this one stat this week that was just outrageous. And, yeah, here it is. Brock Purdy coming into today, guys, number 1 in QBR. Now, it's funny. People asked him, do you know how to come up with quarterback rating? He's like, I have no idea. QBR, I believe, is the ESPN stat, right, guys? Isn't that ESPN's all-encompassing quarterback stat.
It's
Anyway,
the best one.
Purdy, you think it is the best one? Why is that?
Because it takes rushing into account and it takes sacks.
Okay. Well, Purdy is number 1 in QBR in the NFL today, coming into today's action. Behind an offensive line, the Niner offensive line ranked coming into today 22nd in pass block win rate. So pass block win rate is probably the best stat as far as to figure out how good of a job your O-line is doing in pass protection. He's playing in front of a line that is 22nd in pass rush pass blocking win rate, and yet he's the number 1 quarterback in the league QBR. So in other words, if you could build a fortress around the guy, he might even be better than he is right now.
Yeah. You know, when you said 22nd, I think about this. You know, we see this all the time. You know, oh, they're going up against the 29th ranked defense or this and that. My question is, what's the difference between how close are they from 22nd to first? I mean, because there's always got to be a pecking order, right? I mean, it's got to be 1 through 30, but are they that far off because they're 22nd? You know, I mean,
it's usually like a it's kind of like quarterbacks or anything like that. It's like the first, you know, there's a huge difference between like the top 2 and like the third or something like that. And there's a huge difference between like 5 and then, you know, 5 through 15. But like probably once you go from like 12, probably like 12 to 25 are all like within a hair of each other.
Yeah, exactly. So they're like, 22nd sounds bad though. You know, it's like, oh, it's a horrible offensive line.
We've got this one from Overrated. He says, Larry's got a secretary. No, I don't have a secretary. But they're some very nice media relations people who will see me in the corner. Right, you've been up here. You know the setup. I'm in the far corner of the media, the 8th floor of the press box, which is a massive, huge press box. Probably holds 300, 400 people. But I go to this corner because there's an outlet here, and also you're far away from the writers, so they don't have to hear me, jabbering back and forth. But yeah, they have a bunch of PR interns who work only on game days, and their job is to distribute all the quotes from the locker room. So they see me over here, and they got to walk all the way over. So anyway, appreciate them for bringing me some of the stuff out of the locker room. And I'll say this: the Niner locker room was pretty empty. I did an interview with John Feliciano, and the one thing about this is like this is a grueling deal, because I said to Feliciano, I said, "How you feeling?" And he's like, when you play an NFL game at guard, I mean, think about all the head banging that goes into playing an NFL game for all the positions. And then think of offensive guard, where you're just constantly battling you got huge bodies on all sides of you. And they're banging heads play after play after play. He's like, you just you don't necessarily feel 100% at the end of the game. And now you got to somehow tonight, I mean, I would bet the Niner coaches are not going to even go home. They're just going to go down to their office, have a sandwich, order a pizza or whatever, and they're going to put in the film, and they're going to start working on Seattle. I bet you Shanahan and these guys won't even go home today. They're going to be downstairs looking at Seattle. Now, the players will go home. They'll watch the film. They'll get their treatment, and then tomorrow they're on to Seattle. So the Niners had 3 games in 12 days. So we'll see what they look like. The nice thing is they'll get a couple extra days to prepare for Philly.
Right.
But and Fred Warner kind of let us in on a little insight. He said that, or maybe it was Kittle. I forget if it was Kittle or Warner, but one of them said that the game plan for Thursday night will be a much smaller game plan. That Thursday night game plans that, they try to streamline everything.
That was your question. And that was for Fred Warner.
It was Fred, right? I said, I said to him, what won't you do this week? And he's like, what won't we do? And then he's like, basically it was like, hey, we're going to have a smaller game plan, a scaled down version of the game plan. I've never really heard anybody ever make reference to that before. Had you guys before? heard that, a team, I mean, it makes sense, right? You play on Sunday, you get a full week to prepare. You play on the next Thursday. You don't have as much time. But I thought I was a little surprised that he would reveal that, Thursday game plans coming off after a Sunday are kind of a scaled down version of what's normal.
What I will add in is this is a divisional game, right? These teams know what each other's trying to do offensively and defensively. But I feel like I have heard it mentioned that it is kind of scaled down before. But hey, rolling in on a short week, get the bodies right, and hey, let's pull out a dub on Thanksgiving. Hey, fellas, I want to ask you your favorite side dish, Thanksgiving side dish. I want to hear. Personally, I'm going with grandma's stuffing.
Oh,
I'm going with grandma's stuffing. No one can touch it, but I
favorite side dish. You know what? They had turkey here in the press box today.
Wow.
Really?
And it was, it was turkey in name only. Ooh. I got the mashed potatoes, the turkey. I got the gravy. It was kind of like sweet. And it's last I checked, wasn't Thanksgiving supposed to be savory?
I think turkey's kind of a system. It's kind of a system.
System food.
main. I don't know what you call that, entree. It's a system entree. It needs to be surrounded by, gravy and
it's a dink and dunk. Shit. It's a dink and dunk entree. That's what you're trying to say.
It absolutely is.
Okay, so
you can't eat it alone. Yeah,
I like cranberries. I like the cranberries, but I don't like cranberries. I don't like the cranberries bleeding into my stuffing or into my mashed potatoes. If I look down and I've got cranberry colored mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
It's like the one meal a year that I wish I had those trays where it has like its own compartment, so you could keep everything separate. I like cranberry, but I like it by itself. Right. I don't want it mixed up at all. I would say I like stuffing because especially if there's like sausage in it.
What kind of sausage? Like New York style Italian sausage?
New York style Italian sausage. Mild. Exactly. No, you got to go mild.
There you go.
But I mashed potatoes are good. I'll tell you what I'm not into. I'm not into candy yams. I'm not into mac and cheese. I'm not into sweet potatoes with like marshmallows. I can't go any of that. I like and here's the other thing. I like the white.
You like
meat
a lot
turkey.
of things, huh?
I like white meat turkey. I don't like dark meat turkey.
I like dark.
You like the dark meat?
Yeah.
It's to me, it tastes more chicken. Dark meat turkey tastes more chicken. Damon Bruce joins us tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. We'll be on both channels with the 49er Wake Up. Damon, what did you think? First of all, before we get to this secondary football game, your favorite side, according to Baller, he threw it out there for Thanksgiving. What is your favorite side dish?
Well,
and they're regional, by the way. You can look at the map. There's all kinds of regions around the country where cornbread is big.
It's pretty normal. Like cornbread.
Yeah, I lived in Louisiana for a short time. Deep fried turkey.
Deep fried turkey is excellent.
Deep fried turkey's phenomenal. There was a summer. There was a well, I guess it's not summertime, but it happened in the summer as well, where several patios, several decks got burnt down by a deep fried turkey.
We should laugh, but yeah,
boil over, hot oil everywhere. But look, as someone who conducted the first ever Trent Baalke honorable Thanksgiving side dish draft, where he was like, "I'll take green beans, Damon."
Damon.
He even started his draft.
Lowry and Damon. I like Thanksgiving, but nobody tears an ACL during Thanksgiving.
I'm only looking for turkeys that are projects.
For those who don't know, Damon used to have Baalke on and just freaking roast him. Yeah, you had that guy. That guy was so afraid of his own shadow. You literally, he would never admit it, but you shook him. He was literally shook.
There was
every time he was on with you.
There was a time where I asked Trent, I said, "You don't want to answer any question I'm asking honestly. What color shirt are you wearing right now?" And he's like, I'm wearing a white shirt. I'm wearing a white shirt.
No, it's funny you should ask that.
No, wait, stop. I get a text from Bob Sargent saying he's actually wearing a black shirt right now. He's actually wearing. He wouldn't be honest about the color of his shirt with you. Rye, I don't know if it was you. I thought I heard your voice say that turkey is a system entree. That is hysterical. It's only about what's around it. Well, in real life, I think you might be onto something, because to me, Thanksgiving has never been anything more than a vehicle for stuffing. The stuffing to me is the side dish. And Dan, as you were saying, cornbread stuffing is phenomenal. If you ever run into a really good cornbread stuffing,
is it sweet?
It is. But the only problem with a fried turkey is that you can't do in the bird stuffing.
Right.
And that to me is the weakness. That's why I'll never draft fried turkey, because stuffing's that important to me. My father and I used to argue over who had dibs on the final in the bird stuffing, because we would always make out of the bird stuffing, because you can only put so much stuffing in the bird. That in the bird stuffing was the equivalent of gold in my household.
Dude, let me tell you, there's one thing that I love making, and I'll go to Lenardi's and I will ask them for a turkey breast butterflied, right?
Yes.
So they take it off the bone and they butterfly it, and they kind of make all these slices. Then you lay it out on like a cookie sheet, season it, the whole deal. Then you take your stuffing and you pack the stuffing in the turkey, and then you get the cooking string and you tie it all up. So now you've got this boneless turkey breast with stuffing inside.
Like turkey cordon bleu. It's exactly like a
bingo. And then when you let that thing cool a little bit, then you do it in slices, and everybody gets not just a turkey, they get the stuffing in the turkey, moist. Oh,
I never liked stuffing until I got
incredible.
to be got on my own as an adult. Growing up as a kid, I always thought the stuffing coming out of the bird was the guts, and I didn't realize it was put in there. I thought it came.
It's the follies of youth, Dan. You learn as you get older. You know.
Seriously, Dan was scarred by Thanksgiving Day. He thought he was eating blood and guts.
Which I've never had a fried turkey. Like, how fire is it?
Oh, dude.
Good.
So here's my brother-in-law did a fried turkey. Now I would think that it would be oily, right? I mean, doesn't that make sense? It's deep fried. You'd think it would be oily, but it actually is amazing. Why? Because like when you get a turkey, like the outside layers are like kind of dry, but the inside layer is still kind of, unless you wrap it in foil and everything and cook it perfectly, sometimes it's hard to get the outside and the inside the same. In a deep fried situation, the oil goes up through the canvas, or through the carcass, I should say. And so the inside of it cooks evenly with the outside of it.
It's like beer can chicken. It's
absolutely perfect.
It's constantly, it's moist everywhere. It is very juicy,
but it's cooked. It's equally cooked on the meat that's closer to the bone than it is, the meat that's on the outside.
All right. Are we done with this?
But it's like drafting like Josh Allen or Trey Lance or something like that. Like, if it's in the wrong hands, you will burn your entire house down.
You may have to get rid of Ken Dorsey.
If you have the right,
you may have to get rid of Ken Dorsey.
Yeah.
13 men on the field. Get rid of Ken Dorsey. 12 men on the field. It's Ken Dorsey. It's got to go.
Yeah.
Anyway, look.
Back to the Niners. What did you, Damon? Go ahead. You just jumped in last. What was your takeaway on the game today? I mean, obviously a great win for the Niners. It looks like they've lost Hufanga for the year.
That's bad. That's bad. But what an interesting debut for Jair Brown. I saw a Guy Haberman tweet that Chase Young had actually had more snaps for the 49ers than Jair Brown before Brown came into the game. And we all know that Chase Young just got here. So he has that big mistake, and then he makes two plays in the end zone, one breaking up a pass on fourth down, the other ending the game with the interception in the end zone. So he represented himself well. I think he's a good player out of Penn State. He's a rookie. He's going to make mistakes, but the injury to Hufanga is not catastrophic, because I believe that Jair Brown can play the role.
I agree.
But
I agree. Normally, I would say come on, you've lost an all-pro type safety, and you're going to replace him with a rookie. You're freaking cooked. But you know what? Not in this situation. They're not. They're not
going to be okay. I think he's going to be okay. I think it's perfection, no chance. But I think they're going to have a comparable player at the position quickly. Steve Wilkes, you're good in that secondary. Fantastic. Live up to your reputation on a short week getting ready for Seattle. Okay. Brock Purdy's getting better. He's getting better by the week. There's no such thing as linear growth. There's no such thing as no dips in the world of growth. There is no angle that looks like this unless you're cooking your books like Bernie Madoff. This is a lie. This doesn't exist in the real world. But Brock Purdy looks to be traveling a plane kind of like this. Again, in his worst game ever, it's a missed field goal that sends it into the loss column. And then in the 2 other games where he throws the 4 interceptions, he still throws for over 700 yards or has 700 total yards of offense to go along with what he did with his legs and a 70% completion percentage. Today, he turned a good game into a great game when he hit Aiyuk on that 76-yard touchdown. And then he turned a great game into a career signature game when he went 3 for 3 for 54 yards and the 3-yard touchdown to Kittle that put the 49ers up 20. And, you know, whenever you're on a list of 49er quarterbacks and the names are Steve, Joe, and Brock, that's a good place to live. And this guy just threw down the first perfect passer rating game since 89. And I mean, I don't know how you could possibly keep him out of the argument of top 5 quarterbacks in the vacuum of just this year. I mean, that's based on games played, statistics returned, not whatever mental hurdle you think need to be cleared.
So you're saying he's better than Josh Allen, better than Herbert, those guys.
He's having a better year than them. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he's better. He's having the better trip. He's, you know, everybody dropped the same acid. He's having the best trip there is, man. You know, so it's hard to deny what
Josh Allen's up on the roof right now, you know, picking off roofing tiles.
He's got bugs on his
with his eyes bulging out, and his girlfriend just left him. You know.
Yeah. So just what Brock Purdy's doing is remarkable. If it had been prepackaged in a way where everyone had been preordained to rush to tell you how good he is, like I'm glad that the world keeps underestimating him, because the amount of gagging on Brock Purdy that would be done had this look, had you taken Brock Purdy's career and put it in Trey Lance, you'd already be sick of him. You'd already be sick to death of him. You would have just shoved down your throat. Trey Lance, he's the greatest quarterback of all time. The minute he started playing in football, and Patrick Mahomes looked the fuck out because here's the next greatest thing ever. Like, it would be pounded down our throats. There's a business underestimating this guy, and that makes just what he's doing so special. I mean, what if this is really it? What if this is it, right? Thanksgiving.
Why wouldn't it be it?
What if this guy is seriously the heir apparent to the reputations of Joe Montana and Steve Young, and he is the next bona fide for about a decade among the best quarterbacks in all of football? If that really happens, holy shit.
I know. Well, let me ask you, the rest of the group here. Do you guys think that this is what we're seeing is actually what he is? Or do you think he's still in some heat check moment early in his career? What do you guys think? We've all watched a lot of NFL football, and we've now watched this guy for 18 games. I kind of think we've seen the good and the bad. I think he processes what he sees. The ball comes out on time. He's very accurate. He's super hard on himself. And at the same time, he's got this swagger and this confidence and he plays with this chip on his shoulder. And I think the good is that, and the bad is he tries to make plays even when they're not there sometimes. And he's turned the ball over, and he had 33 interceptions at Iowa State. So that might be kind of the bad side of Brock is that he occasionally is going to push the envelope and turn it over. But
isn't that where coaching comes into play? And isn't that where Kyle
Brett
Shanahan
Favre
and him?
Holmgren. I think of Favre and Holmgren. Favre coming out of Southern Miss turned it over a lot. And then he got with Holmgren. Holmgren kind of coached it out of him, so to speak, and made him enough of a system guy where he could still have his off schedule stuff, but he could be depended on. And Favre played really, really good football there and won a ring. He won one, right? He didn't. Did he win 2 or 1?
One.
He went to 2 in a row. He lost the second one to Elway. But what do you guys think, Kev, Baller, Rye? Danny? What do you guys think? Or do you think this is still kind of honeymoon Brock, or do you think we've seen the good and the bad?
Well, I'll say this. Conversation we're having right now about Brock Purdy
Reminds you of Gabe Kapler?
Yeah. I'll say the same conversation I bet was going on back in 2001, 2002 with Tom Brady in the New England market. Is this guy for real? It's a 6th-round draft pick. I don't know. He's got to keep proving it. Then it's like after the second year, he's like, okay, this is Brock Purdy's. He's just completed his first full year if you look at games played in regular season. I think the sky is the limit. I think he is going to get better because he's going to refine. He's going to learn from his mistakes. He's going to have some bad games. You can expect in a 17-game season probably to have at least 2 or 3 bad games a year where you're going to throw some picks and you're going to lose games just because you made mistakes. But Purdy's the type of guy that will learn from those mistakes, as we saw he did in those 3 games that they lost, the 2 that he threw interceptions toward the end of the game. He's learned from those already, and he'll make more mistakes. He'll misread. He won't see a backer or whatever underneath, and he'll miss it. But so does every other quarterback in the history of the NFL. Brett Favre is considered one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. Led the entire National Football League in the history of interceptions. I mean, look his record. He was a gunslinger. But I think Purdy is a little more composed than Brett Favre. He's definitely not going to make those type of mistakes that Favre continually made. I think Brett Favre's last pass of his career, unless he had one more year afterwards, was the interception in the NFC Championship to New Orleans. He totally made a bonehead move, tried to make a play. All he had to do is throw it away, and they would have kicked a field goal. So I think Purdy has a little bit more of a mental game that will eliminate some of those crazy down spiral moments.
I think people also just don't know their quarterback. They don't know their NFL history. I saw Joe Montana throw multiple picks in that 81 NFC Championship game.
He threw 3,
I saw Steve Young's first playoff game. Guys, go look it up. He played the Washington Redskins. I think he turned it over 4 times. Now, the Niners were so freaking great then. They still won. But Steve Young had 4 turnovers, I believe, in his very first playoff game. How would that be responded to now? Now it would be like, oh, my God. There'd be 19,000 morons tweeting out, he's not him. It's like,
we've seen some bad quarterbacks where, I like Damon's analogy there is pitcher, we've seen some quarterbacks where they just, they're going straight down. I mean, we see it in New York, right? Zach Wilson was benched today. His career, in all likelihood,
how about that draft?
Done in New York.
How about that draft?
Yeah.
We were debating who's the best quarterback in that draft. They're all crap right now. Let me hit a couple supers because people are demanding it. One of them's here for Damon. HB Nate says, is the sleeve new for Purdy on the sideline? I'm watching in the upper deck. Was he wearing a certain sleeve, guys, today that I didn't see? Did you guys see a sleeve on Brock?
I didn't notice. I don't track who's wearing a sleeve the way I don't track who's wearing a leg brace or anything. Like I didn't notice. I didn't notice at all.
Let me call my sleeve guy. Let me call my sleeve guy.
You got a sleeve guy?
Kev's
Kevin?
got a sleeve guy.
I'm getting my sleeve guy on the phone.
Let's call Burrow's sleeve guy.
Roberto Davis says Niners didn't get Surtain because they had to keep their first round pick to draft an offensive tackle. I feel like this is the last year for Trent. Yeah, I mean, I think you're absolutely right on that one. I don't know about the last year for Trent, but I do think that they have earmarked that number one pick as an offensive tackle. Altcoin Emperor says Brock Purdy has a passer rating of 157.3 over the last 2 starts. That's the highest passer rating by any NFL quarterback over a 2-start span since quarterback stats were first tracked in 1950.
Right. And because we started tracking training camp interceptions 4 years ago and pretending that they were a big deal, we track those too. But those don't matter, and this does. That's these data points that we are getting are extraordinary. I mean, if the only thing that you might not like about Brock is the package of Brock Purdy, the statistics are undeniable. What is
the guy's playing at a really high level.
5 interceptions, is that it? The 3 today gives him 18 on the year. Did he come in with 15 touchdowns? No, he's got 8. He's 8. I mean, this is
18 touchdowns. Was it 5 picks?
Yeah.
18 touchdowns, 5 picks. Green Gospel says Grant going on and on hating on Purdy right now. No, come on.
There's no way. There's no way he's doing that.
There's no way. There's no way.
All right. I'm gonna. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Ryan. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to get I'm just trying to be the negative guy. I'm just going to try on the negative hat for a second. Okay. This is going to be, I'm getting ahead of this take because this is going to be a lot of arguments in about 3 years.
God
I think this is Brock Purdy. I really do. But like, let's just imagine he plays this exact way for the next 3 years and the Niners maybe make a Super Bowl and lose and don't win a Super Bowl. All of a sudden, Purdy's contract's going to be up and he's going to be one of the, top guys in the league. That's what people are going to be saying. Like, I don't know if they can win a Super Bowl necessarily with Brock Purdy getting paid like $65 million or whatever it's going to be at that point.
Well, the one thing you got to remember is this is a team that would have had, if they didn't make this Trey Lance trade, 3 more first-round draft choices on it. Right? So we're not
just 2.
Are 2.
2
more first-round draft.
They gave away 2. They swapped their 1 pick.
But then they traded Trey, so you kind of there's your 3rd right there, right? I mean, you traded
essentially 3 swings and misses at number 1.
Oh, I guess if you look at it that way, yeah.
Yeah, that's the way we're looking at it, Dan.
Okay, all right.
And I don't, you can be on, you can be in La Boca Vista, Del Boca Vista's, board of trustees, and still.
I just resigned this week. I'm a free man.
Oh, did you?
I heard you were impeached.
Yeah, there's a lot of controversy coming out of Arizona. Jesse Wade says, Damon, just wanted to say your spicy rant on the Brock hater last week was epic as AF. I don't want to swear because we have women and children nearby, but he says, I loved every second of it. Anyone else want to see Ronnie Bell as a kick returner?
Number 1, thank you very much. Appreciate the compliment. Number 2, I want to see Ronnie Bell more involved, the same way I want to see Jordan Mason involved. But I'm not going to complain about involvement when the Niners look like they're winning games in near overwhelming fashion. And, but for a few red zone miscues on their part, they're running away with this one. And look, Tampa deserves some credit out there. And, put a little respect on Baker Mayfield's name.
He played well.
You know what he reminds me of? He's a more highly regarded Jimmy Garoppolo. He's the kind of guy. He's the kind of guy who his teammates love because he's a badass and he's a little bit of a leader and he's a fighter out there. And, he made a block on Nick Bosa today that worked. That's a pretty impressive thing for a guy like Baker Mayfield to do. But then he also uncorks like 3 or 4 passes that make you go, where are his eyes? What is he looking at? That should have totally been an interception. He's high.
He actually has taken care of the football pretty well this year so far.
He has, but boy, today, I mean, he could have had a 4 interception afternoon today. He really could have. I mean, you had You had Greenlaw have one bounce right
Oh,
off.
he
his
dropped
hand.
a duck.
You had someone
Warner.
else. Warner had one too. You had Warner's would have been a little bit more of a oh my god level of interception.
Lenore.
There were a couple that could have really.
Lenore had one early. Where he almost, wasn't the first play
of the game almost.
Charvarius Ward had one.
Yeah, Charvarius Ward had, and Baker has some guts though, man. He'll stick it in there. Even if there's not a lot of room, I do think he's a pretty good competitor. Two more supers, and I got a question I want to ask you guys. Matthew Rowley says, I listened to a lot of WEEI, and these are the exact conversations that people were having about Tom Brady. Everyone wanted him benched before the first Super Bowl. I believe that. I mean, it's just the nature of, it's NFL. There's so much passion about the NFL. People think they know what they're watching because they've seen every play, but there's so much that go into the game plan that you probably don't know what you're watching. And I'm not trying to rip anybody. I'm just saying there's a lot that goes into it. I always found baseball and football funny from the standpoint of, in baseball, you can have all the information that like Kapler or any manager has when he's deciding, do I pinch hit or do I not? It's like, what's he hitting against this pitcher? What's he hitting in the last 10 days? What's he hitting off lefties? What's he hitting off righties? You could quickly look at those numbers, and yet people will be like, oh no, you can't question the manager. But then they'll get in football when there's like a million more variables, including injuries and game planning and trying to self-scouting and everything else that goes into it. And yet, because they watch every play, they'll be like, Shanahan should have done. It's like, dude, you have no idea. Shanahan's spending, 120 hours getting ready for games. You're watching 3 hours of a game one time and speaking with total conviction about how he effed it up. I mean, it's like the level that people will go in football to question the coach with no knowledge is staggering when you consider that the baseball fan won't question the manager when they have all the information that they need.
Larry, it just shows you that people are only watching a TV show. And that's all that a lot of people are just watching a TV show, and there's constant close-ups of the two most important characters according to the TV show. And the two most important characters are the quarterback and the coach. So it's easiest to throw slings and arrows at both of them, or just heap sometimes undeserved praise on the both of them when there's so much more going on. There is no more rabidly consumed yet less understood sport than football.
No, it's totally true. Let's be honest about it. It is men's soap opera. Look how many people wanted to say that the reason that the Niners beat Jacksonville was that Steve freaking Wilkes changed where he sat. I mean, come on. That made the coverage tighter? That made the linebackers not miss tackles? I mean, it's laughable. But the real difference was you took 4.65 40-time Isaiah Oliver off the field, who can't cover, and you replaced him with 4.4 flat Ambry Thomas, who has great speed and can cover, or at least can cover better. And that was the difference. That was the wrinkle. That was the real story, not where the fuck Steve Wilkes decided to sit. This one is interesting. What is it? J.R. Beckhold. He says, Grant said he wasn't sure if Purdy was the best quarterback on the field today. Oh, God. Stop, please stop.
Look, the only thing I'm tired of just talking or ripping or anything, but here's the deal. My point is you can't speak on authority. I mean, people get things wrong, but then there's another thing entirely when you prove implicitly you don't even know what you're looking at. And if that is true, my man still has absolutely no idea what he's even looking at. Okay. If you watch today's game and you're not sure who the better quarterback was, how you have chosen to cover sports for a living is I don't get it. I don't understand it. Again, it must be performative. It must be performative.
Kev doesn't like it when we rip people. So let's
No, I was just gonna say. I mean, he had a perfect passer rating, and the other guy almost threw like 3 picks. So I don't know how you could say that.
Yeah, I got a question for you guys, especially this more for you, Larry, because you were at training camp all year. Have you noticed anything with Purdy's arm strength. To me, it looks like it's getting stronger the last few weeks than it was earlier in the year. I noticed there's more zip on the ball. Do you think his arm is getting healthier?
I totally agree, Danny. And it's a little bit of a nuanced thing, but I asked Brock, how did you spend your bye week? And he's like, well, he went to Iowa and this and that. But then as far as physically, he's like, I lifted, but I didn't throw. And so I just think that, it's kind of like, when we were kids, we used to play tons of strikeout. And the more you throw, the stronger your arm gets, but you still have to rest it. Right. And there is no rest for an NFL arm, right? You just keep throwing and throwing and throwing and throwing. So I think the same way like Brandon Crawford could get dead arm, I think some of these quarterbacks get dead arm. I absolutely agree with you. The last 2 weeks, I mean, look at the ball that he put where he led George Kittle against Devin Lloyd last week in Jacksonville. That was an amazing throw. Then he led him with it. I mean, that had to be 40 yards down the field. He couldn't step into it. He couldn't follow through. And yet there it was. I mean, so, and today, I mean, he threw 4 or 5 lasers in the middle of the field to Aiyuk.
So noticing the more zip on the ball, the touchdown to Aiyuk, as I mentioned, was 41 yards in the air from where he let it go to where Aiyuk caught it. The question is, will we see as Purdy's arm is getting stronger and we're seeing him throw down the field a little bit more, will we see Danny Gray this year?
It's funny because, it's funny that you asked that question because last week we asked Steve Wilkes about Jair Brown. And he's like, it's funny you guys brought him up because we were just discussing how Jair Brown's looking better and better and better. And then I asked Shanahan today, I said, have you been able to tell in the last few weeks about Jair Brown? And he said, yeah, he's really been coming on. And they asked him about Danny Gray. I think maybe I asked him about Danny Gray or somebody asked him about Danny Gray this week. And he said that Danny Gray's ready. They're just he's ready to come off the off whatever injured list. Was he on the PUP or NFI or I don't know.
I think he's on IR.
He's in IR.
But imagine
he's ready. They're just waiting for an opportunity.
You got a better chance of seeing Gray's anatomy out on the field. All right. You got a better chance of seeing
I don't know, man. I think there's a twist there. If they can add that element, that it changes Kyle's game planning, because if you can keep teams honest, now you no longer can play straight further up in the box. I want to see the deep game. That's the one area that the Niners have really lacked in since Steve Young?
Well, it would be nice now that Brock is throwing the ball down the field consistently and with some zip. It would be nice to see if Danny Gray on a go pattern could create separation and really, you want to break down a defense and make them look different. Just, bust them with a go pattern down the seam to somebody who runs 4-2-8 and then watch everything start to crumble.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not believing Brock Purdy until he throws a pass 86 yards in the air all the time. I want him to be able to go from his end zone to attacking the other end zone. A real franchise quarterback would be able to complete 88-yard air passes. I've done it in Madden, so it can't be hard.
Tell you what, Danny Gray is fire in Madden. I have to put him in.
He's durable in Madden. He's durable.
I've seen the kid at SMU as highlights. He's not just a go route receiver.
No, he's got ball skills. Yeah. And he's also bigger, stronger than he was last year. But, my question is how many routes can he run before he's back on the IR?
Jeez.
I did say hi to Drake Jackson today in the locker room, and Drake is on the IR, and hopefully he'll be making his way back.
Does he know why he's on the IR, or is it a phantom IR?
No, he's on the IR because he's hurt. But also he needs to get better, and he knows it. Matthew Rowley says, my only concern with Brock is his play in the fourth quarter when down, but I think he'll figure that out too. The kid is unbelievable. We have this one from Merry Christmas who says, Bob Nightingale of the USA Today reported today the Yankees and the San Francisco Giants are widely viewed as the co-favorites now to sign free agent center fielder, first baseman Cody Bellinger.
Hopefully it becomes a New York
Wait a second. Let's put that through the Giant News Computer, boop, 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 boop. Oh, Cody Bellinger will be a New York Yankee.
Yes.
That's what I got out of that.
There was an illusion that happened. I'm a Cubs fan. There's an illusion that happened. He had a good year in Chicago. He's a very good defensive center fielder. He always has been. He can run like the wind. He doesn't hit the ball hard. He had an awful lot of CNI, got lucky, dropped in, hit him where they ain't, gets credit for that. But he doesn't hit the ball hard.
You saying he's like a dink and dunk center field first baseman?
He's a dink and dunk hitter, Larry. And he also was in a division where they don't have the book on him like the National League West does. I think it'd be a disaster for him to return. You want him to be a Yankee. You don't want Cody Bellinger for the price that he's going to come at.
Wait a second. The Giants center fielder this year was who, Danny?
Yaz.
Their Giants first baseman was who this year?
Yastrzemski's back, baby.
Wade.
Cody Bellinger, please come here. Oh my God. We got this one as well from San Bruno Mike. Aiyuk 76-yard touchdown was a thing of beauty. He's making DBs look foolish.
And not only on that play, a play I love from BA, there was numerous that I liked, but how about the cheat motion? Right, I feel like the Dolphins kind of popularized that one where he's running cross formation, then he turns it into a dig across. BA, his route running has been phenomenal. I say that on in-breaking routes, he runs these in-breakers, post, slants, digs, as good as any wide receiver in the NFL. And while I'm talking, I wanted to answer the question on Brock Purdy. Is this who he is, right? Obviously, these great performances.
Is he him?
Is he him? What I want to say is the best is yet to come. This kid is only in his second year, right? And just with how decisive he is and how accurate he is, 80% of the time it feels like he plays within structure, going through Shanahan's progressions, 1-2. And what I love is how he doesn't see anything open. He checks it down to McCaffrey, who seemingly always makes the first guy miss. But Brock Purdy is a playmaker, and the best is yet to come.
Him is he, according to Joel Martinez. You know who else is he? JD. JD is he. And I was just saying it earlier today. Him is he. No, but JD joins us. JD.
By the way, I'm sorry. I got to go. I hear absolute bedlam upstairs. It's bath night. I've been on I got to go take care of kids. JD, take over. You are the most perfectly qualified person to take over my box in the 6-man box show. Thank you for having me on, Larry. Great to see all of you guys. I love coming and talking football with you. Watch it 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. 49ers Wake Up. Be there. Hit subscribe. Thank you very much. Happy Thanksgiving.
There you go. Damon Bruce. Now we can really have some fun. No, I'm just joking. But
6-man box. I like 7 in the box.
You've always said that. You have always said that.
I'm more of an octobox guy, but it's fine.
Are you?
Yeah.
We could also mix it up a little bit and go with baller in the center square. We could go with Rye, who's he's got the look at that.
The fancy camera. Yeah.
Rye's got fancy camera. Rye also has plants in the background. I mean, look at that. There's a guy who knows what he's doing.
Right? Good lighting. I've always got shitty lighting in these random booths at Levi's.
There's Kev in the.
I'm on the portable setup right now.
The portable setup. We got Danny, who's a little off center, but very, very popular with the older part of the demographic, and then we have JD, who's a man who's seen a lot of Warrior basketball. All right, and we won't talk Klay Thompson. And by the way, Kev just sent me.
Oh yeah,
sent me
the news on Jordan Poole.
Look at this. Do you see that? Well, maybe I put myself
the
in
Wizards.
box.
The
Where
Wizards
am I? I'm
what
on my own show.
Poole?
I'm behind the New York style Italian sausage. Okay, so look at that. Look at that right there. This says Wizards are likely to move on from Jordan Poole as team officials don't view him as cornerstone material.
Took him 12 games to figure that out? 15 games? Holy crap.
Seriously.
I would be so mad if I was a Wizards fan.
Fuck.
Let's go back to the normal box. Here we go.
Who's going to want that contract as badly as he's playing?
Maybe they'll trade him for Draymond.
Maybe trade him for CP3. Let's see if they wouldn't that be something. Before we get JD's thoughts on this game, let me ask you guys this. The Niners play Thursday night, then they've got the Eagles, then they've got Seattle. This is the turn for home here. What's your primary concern? Is it Afonga now that he's hurt and Jair Brown? Is it the run defense? I mean, the Niners don't stop the run particularly well. Tampa Bay doesn't run it particularly well. Is it pass defense? Is it the pass rush? Is it the offensive line? Is it Shanahan in a big moment? Is it Purdy in the fourth quarter? I mean, what would you say is your primary 49er concern coming out of this, beat down of the Buccaneers? Baller, go ahead. You start us.
Yeah, I'm going with the pass defense. I still have some questions on the back end in terms of coverage. Charvarius Ward, I thought, played okay today. At least he didn't get flagged, to my knowledge, because the 3 games before this, he had 7 flags in those 3 games. So I was happy to see him clean up that aspect. That being said, I felt like there was some bend but don't break today, with the defense giving up some completions, especially in the second half. And then, Ambry Thomas, I thought he played okay, but, and now, you got a new piece to work into the mix in Jair Brown. So I'm going with the pass defense as my biggest question mark right now.
Kev, we'll go that direction, and we'll go Ryan, JD, and we'll move around.
Yeah. This is probably not like a concern, but the one thing that I've noticed is that the Niners pretty much play 2 games, or except for the Rams game, but it's been you lose in a close game at the end or you dominate your opponent. And I would like to see them win a game where it's close and
you want to see them win the grimy games.
Yeah, I want to see them win a grimy game, and that's just more for my own sake. It's not like they can't win games and kill their opponents every time. That's great, but I would like to see, Purdy do it in the fourth quarter. I think he can do it, but I would like to see that.
Rye, what do you think? What's the primary concern, despite the victory today?
Well, yeah, I like what Kev said. I mean, it'd be nice to actually see something like the Lions win today. Like, Purdy throws a couple interceptions and then they find a way to just come back in the end and in just a mucked up game. The concern, I don't really know where to place it. I guess you'd maybe say the offensive line when they're in obvious passing situations, which is like when they're down. I feel like that's when the O-line starts to look a little shaky. When there's no real threat of running and Purdy's just back there. Yeah, I mean, I think that's just something that they're going to have to deal with for, I really kind of think they're going to need to score first or at least keep it close in all of these games if they're going to win the Super Bowl. I don't see them getting down 14 and coming back on a really, really good team.
JD, what do you think? What's your primary concern about the team?
Health. And I think it's health of, first and foremost, the skill players, the eligibles. It's it starts with McCaffrey and Debo and Aiyuk and Kittle. I think you need them all to win the Super Bowl, and I think we saw that when 1 or 2 were banged up or playing through something or out of the lineup. Everything as far as the 49ers offense started to look completely different. So I think they need to have everybody. And then defensively, they are a front-running team. To this point, I'm not sure that they can't come back. A lot of times when good teams come back, they come back against bad teams, like the Lions did today against the Bears. And so it's a catch-22, right? Do you really want to be down 12 to a bad team if you're the 49ers and have to come back? They haven't really needed to do that at this point, which I think is a credit to them. I think. No, not to go all Lions, but it's, I think the Lions have had a few tells in some games that they've won, kind of like they did today, that maybe they aren't really quite as good as their record would indicate, should there be a future, playoff matchup, maybe with a team like the 49ers. I personally think the 49ers would stomp the Lions if they played them in a meaningful game in either building, whether it's at Ford Field or whether it's at Levi's Stadium. I think they would heat up Goff. They'd force Goff into some mistakes. And look, that's a super talented offense. There's no doubt. But we're kind of in that time of year, not to get off on a tangent, where you do start looking at the standings and you think, well, damn, the Niners would probably go to Detroit if, things were, like 2-3, if the Lions were the 2. Still time to shake that out. The Lions haven't played the Vikings yet or anything, but I think the Lions would have a hell of a time stopping the Niners. Like, I think the Niners, especially if they had all their guys, I think they might score 50 points on them, to be perfectly honest, if they have all their guys. I mean, it's literally Hutchinson is the guy you got to worry about on that defense. And if you can contain him even a little bit, I think you can just have a field day against them. So storybook season, they're a really good team. I was wrong about Dan Campbell, who I pretty much called a joke, from his hire.
I did too. The guy was talking about biting kneecaps and, I don't care if you got 3 fingers and 1 ass cheek. I'm going to kick your ass. Remember that?
Yeah, no, it's working, and they play their ass off for him. And look, it looked bad in the middle of last year. They were 1-6 off of a bad year the year before, and they held it together. They went 7-2 at the end and didn't make the playoffs based on, I think, Seattle coming back and winning in the final week of the season. So they took that spot. Otherwise, the 49ers may have been playing them last year. I guess they would have ended up playing Green Bay last year, the way it worked out if Green Bay had beaten them on the last day of the season. But anyway, health among the skill players for the 49ers, and then defensively, to bring it back on point, I do think the secondary is shaky, and I think it gets shakier as well as Jair Brown played. I know he was a highlight tonight with the 2 key plays. Having a rookie starting safety, if that's where the 49ers are going to have to be, and it looks like that's where they are going to have to be, I think that could be problematic. And the defense does look more vulnerable than it has, and they're capable of having those games like they did against Jacksonville, where they're flying around and they're dominant. But that was a reinvigorated, refreshed, pissed off defense, that really wanted to make a statement after admittedly going, they went through 8-9 weeks of the season getting up to the bye where they admitted they were kind of broken. Like, they were tired. So what's it going to look like after you got to play 8 more weeks? And maybe you're still taking pieces away, and then you got to start winning multiple playoff games. So those would be the 2 things for me.
For me, I'm worried about the health of Dre Greenlaw, because Greenlaw is such a vital component of their run game and their run stop unit. And I would say the other one, this Niner team reminds me a little bit, kind of got back to Ryan and Kev's point. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Warriors in the early days, when the Warriors always had to win. They always had to have the feel good going. The Niners, it's like, to win, they almost have to have this like feel good, where it's like it's a party, and they're
vibes,
overwhelming.
The vibes have to be a certain way, Larry. The vibes
have to be a certain way, but they also need like a big margin. It's like, I kind of wonder how Shanahan and how this team would play on both sides of the ball if they were involved in a 4-quarter game against an equally talented opponent and a back and forth game. Do they have the kind of mental resolve and stick-to-itiveness to get through that kind of a grimy type game? I think we're going to find out. I think the Philly game is going to be like that. I think the Ravens game is going to be like that. I think the playoffs are promised to be like that. And I was a little concerned about the safety play just overall. I know I love Hufanga, but I don't think he's a perfect player, and I like Gibson, but I know he's not a perfect player. I kind of think that Jair Brown may be better than people think. So I'm not that worried about Jair, but I'm a little worried about their safety play. I'm a little worried about the fatigue factor with Greenlaw, and I'm kind of worried about, do the Niners need to be in this like feel good mode to win games? Danny, you'll round us out on this one, so we're coming towards the end of our stream here. But go ahead, Danny. What's your biggest concern?
Yeah, you guys kind of hit on it a little bit. I've been thinking about this.
We'll skip Danny. No,
with the safety situation. I'm wondering, do you go out and sign a veteran? I know Jaquiski Tartt's last time he was there was the dropped ball against the Rams.
Right.
But he's a veteran. He's only 31. He's a free agent. He knows the system.
When did he last play this year, though?
He didn't even play last year.
Did he not play at all last
No, I
year?
don't think he played.
I think he was on
Okay.
Philly's practice squad for a while, for a little bit.
If he's been in a practice squad, at least he's out there getting reps in practice at least or something. But I don't know. He's not like he's doing a Kurt Warner thing, working at the grocery store or anything right now. Isn't he on somebody's practice squad?
Chbosky Tart, aisle 7, cleanup.
Now he has not played in the NFL since 21.
Since 21. That's a little rough then.
Yeah, that's probably asking too much.
That's a little too much. But do they try and poach somebody off of somebody else's practice squad that's got some
Well,
veteran
I'll say this. I'm in
experience?
favor of moving the trade deadline back in the NFL because, I mean, there's, look at you had to decide who you want to trade for on the 1st of November. You have all of November, all of December, and if you go to the playoffs and go to the Super Bowl, you got all of January. You got 3 full months of football where guys could go down left and right and do. So I don't know. It just seems to me I'd rather have like a, instead of week 11 or whatever, week 8 or whatever. I'd like it to be more like week 12, week 13, as far as the buy or as far as the trade deadline. Let me read a couple more supers and then we'll get JD's quick thoughts and then we'll probably call it quits here. Bang Bang says, my guy Barry, a baller, is too quiet. What are your thoughts on what seems to be a lack of physicality down the stretch with the run game? Why couldn't we close them out on the ground? The O-line was average today as well.
Bang, bang. I appreciate that. Let me jump in. When you got guys like Bruce on and JD and sometimes you got to divert, right? You got to divert to some of these legends up here. But to answer your question, they had a penalty kill a drive. I thought, Juice had a penalty that set him back, 1st, 2nd, and 15, something like that. There was also a sack late in the game that kind of killed the drive. At that point, they were just trying to run the clock out. It felt like the Niners had a grasp on that game, but a penalty and a sack kind of led to some 3 and outs, which gave the Bucks a chance late. But we know the Niners had that game in hand.
Yeah, this one from Daza, guys, who says, LK, I asked you during the week if you were concerned about playing down to the level of competition. I know we won this game. This should have been a blowout. I just think that, the Niners, once this game more than anything, they went into a defensive mode that reminded me of week 1 at Heinz Field against the Steelers, where it was like they were content to just let the Bucks complete passes as long as the clock kept moving, and they had multiple score lead, and they were I think you can throw this box score out. I really believe if the Niners had really competed all the way through this game, I think this game would have been a bigger blowout. I think they were just trying to get to the finish line. And so how many out routes did Baker Mayfield throw to Evans and Godwin and Otten and seam routes? And they were there. They didn't allow the big play, but they kept allowing first downs. I just think in some ways, I think they lost a little bit of their edge once they had the big lead. Adam Durst says, Larry, who is more annoying, or what is more annoying or overused? He is him, or give him his flowers. What do you guys think?
It's the him thing. It's the him thing.
Yeah, the him stuff it's new.
He is him.
Old. Yeah,
that is.
I don't like the flower stuff. I see
I'll
it too
tell you
much.
The one that gets me. The one that gets me, Rye, is it is what it is. What the fuck does it is what it is mean? I mean, has there ever been anything that means less than it is what it is? Hicks says Kev wants the good old Jimmy G heart stopper games. I don't miss those games. It was so stressful. I think Kev just wants. I don't think he's rooting for him. I think he just doesn't. You just want to.
We haven't seen him.
You want to see
everything in between.
A little bit more.
How about you go win at Philly when the game's you're down 4 in the 4th quarter. Good back and forth game. It's 20-16, and you go down. You need a touchdown, and you win it, and you get a stop. I think that would do against one of these good teams left on the schedule. In particular,
I think that's a good point. Dazza says apart from the first big gain, Jair Brown was good. Yeah, he was. And talking to him in the locker room, he's He's a great young guy. He really is. I mean, he is going to be a really good player. Dazza says the O-line is still a concern for me. Once Banks comes back, they might want to try replacing Burford with Feliciano. I think that's actually very likely to happen. The Niners see what they have in Feliciano, and they really believe that Feliciano can play regularly, and I think he will. And then we have this one from Batman 29. Love the Niners, but I doubt their cornerback ability. Well, it sounds like, is that a comeback?
Yeah.
Yeah, comeback ability.
Well, cornerback or comeback. But yeah, I do too. I mean, we haven't really seen it. And it's kind of an unknown until you see it. You really don't know if it's in there or not, if they have the ability, whether it be Shanahan or Purdy or just the mindset of the team. Can they come from behind? They've almost gone wire to wire on some of these games, and there hasn't been a ton of pressure. You kind of wonder if the screw. I mean, the one thing about Philly's battle tested as hell this year. They keep winning all these tight games, so it's like in some ways you got two opposite things. I actually believe that winning tight games helps you be more battle tested, and so that concerns me a little bit about Philadelphia.
I'm scared of playing Philly in the second round. I kind of think that's what's gonna. I think the Lions are gonna get the 1 seed, and that's gonna really suck to have to go at Philly, and that's not even the that's not even the NFC Championship game. Like at Philly, then at Detroit. That's tough.
What's Detroit's schedule?
Last question about the.
I know they play the Vikings a couple times. No, I'm just curious on Detroit's schedule. I think Detroit's going to slip up here and there.
Their schedule is pretty easy. It's
they got the Cowboys later in the season in Dallas.
Home Packers, at Saints, they could lose that. At Bears, home Broncos, then at Vikings, at Cowboys, home Vikings. But Phillies is Chiefs,
a lot tougher.
At Chiefs, home Bills, home Niners, at Cowboys, at Seahawks, then Giants, Cardinals, Giants.
Hope the Eagles lose tomorrow, and then the Niners keep winning and beat them, and then they're tied with record. They'll have the head-to-head.
Yeah, what do you guys think on that one? Do you think KC gets them tomorrow night at Arrowhead?
And I think it depends if Taylor Swift's there or not. It all hinges on her, I think.
Sounds like she's gonna be.
And her mom.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, the parents are meeting tomorrow, I'm told.
I'm definitely making my bet then on the Chiefs if she's there.
My girlfriend said, "Hey, I'm looking forward to Monday night." I said, "Why?" And she says, "The parents are meeting." I go, "What are you talking about?"
Oh my God. Oh my God.
This is like that show, TV show.
Taylor's parents are meeting Kelsey's parents or something.
Oh my God. All right. Here's a question for you guys. If all of us were hosting a sports talk show tomorrow, what would be your 3 topics? Niners obviously are one. Klay Thompson, does he get traded? Is that one?
Yeah, Warriors are dead.
Warriors, yeah. There's a Warrior concern about Klay. I'll believe the Giants will sign a big name free agent when it actually freaking happens and not before.
Jeez. Yeah.
That's your headline for each team, no doubt.
Yeah.
I think the 3 slot, I'd go turkey talk.
Yeah, exactly. Rise thinking ahead.
What's your favorite Thanksgiving side?
Yeah,
we had that already.
Baller threw that out.
We actually did that.
We already went with that. Well, JD, what are you going with?
Well, I'm a big of the common ones. I love the mashed potatoes, but I like Brussels sprouts with a little bacon mixed into the mix. That's kind of my outlier. And I've also I never
Brussels
did this.
Sprouts. I would never have guessed.
Oh yeah,
that.
cook up some Brussels sprouts. Mac and cheese is the other one for me.
See, it's funny. Mac and cheese is a staple. It's a staple,
some people don't.
Yeah, some people. It's a big staple around the country, but we never had mac and cheese for Thanksgiving.
And we didn't either in California, man. But I love it. I've had it the last few years, and I love it as a side. So I view that as non-traditional, but I've talked to other people that are like, no, we do mac and cheese every year. So,
hey, last question. Where are you guys with where are you guys right now? Here it's this is week 11. Super Bowl wise. I mean, the Ravens this week lose. They won the game over Cincinnati, but they lost Mark Andrews for the year. Cincinnati lost the game and lost Joe Burrow. Buffalo won the game today, but their offense still looks like S. And their schedule's brutal, and they probably don't even make the playoffs, right, Ryan? Don't they have a really rough schedule?
They're not gonna. I don't.
Yeah.
think.
So right now, we did this whole thing last week about who's going to the Super Bowl, and I went with Cincinnati as one of my picks. We didn't even get 1 week in, and they look done. Buffalo looks totally done to me. Baltimore, is got looks great, but then just losing Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews is a phenomenal tight end, and this seems like the time of the year where Lamar seems to get hurt. Philly's got Goddard done for the next 3 or 4 weeks. They will not have him for the Niner game. Right now, if you were, your pre-Turkey Day week Super Bowl, what do you guys feel good about right now?
I got it narrowed down to 5 teams. Okay. 2 in the NFC.
Niners, Eagles.
Niners, Eagles in the NFC.
Right.
And in the AFC, it's Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes. And I'm not counting out the Ravens yet. I know the loss of Mark Andrews is big, but I thought Odell Beckham actually looked really explosive last week. Rashad Bateman, I think, has some talent. Isaiah Likely's going to fill in some capacity. And then they're getting that kid Keaton Mitchell going, the rookie running back. I think he adds a dynamic element to him. So I got the Ravens. And then I'm closing it out with the Dolphins.
So you believe in the Dolphins, even though the Dolphins really don't beat good teams or haven't beaten.
Yeah, and it was a little too close for comfort today, that game against the Raiders. Raiders kind of hung around, but I still think that offense is really explosive. The defense and Vic Fangio, I think, is going to keep getting better and better. Ramsey came back, although I think Ramsey might have got dinged today. But they got some talented players, both on offense and defense. Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips. They got guys. I think that offense is explosive. So I got 2 NFC, 3 AFC. One of these 5 teams is winning it.
Kev, what do you got?
I hate to be the NFL casual because pretty much anyone would say this, but there's something about Mahomes and just Mahomes in the playoffs and that team that you just can't count them out. And I think what were you gonna say?
This leads into one of my, because I was looking at this and getting pretty frustrated about it. So, Mahomes has never played a road playoff game in his career.
Right.
In his entire career.
Yep.
And the Chiefs just haven't even been that good this year, but yet they're still like.
Their D's pretty good.
Their D's pretty good, but it's like they pretty much played like 2 like legit teams, Dolphins and Lions, and they split those. Then they lost to the Broncos, but they still have just a pretty easy path. After this Eagles game, they're going at Raiders, at Packers, home Bills, which honestly, they're going to kill the Bills, at Patriots, home Raiders, home Bengals with no Burrow, and then at Chargers. Like, how do Philly has a really difficult schedule. How did Mahomes and the boys end up with such an easy schedule after winning the Super Bowl?
Oh,
and they're just going to have
you can't even invent an easier schedule than that.
Well, they're playing the North. They're playing the NFC North, which is part of it, and then their 17th game is the rematch game against the Eagles. So that's a tough one. And I'm trying to think what other division in the AFC are they playing as part of that deal?
It's a cakewalk. They're just going to end up with the 1 seed and annoyingly slither into the Super Bowl.
They play the East, right? So they play the Jets and all those teams. They play the Jets and the Buffalo and yeah.
So Kev, you were going Chiefs, but who was your NFC?
Are we not going Niners? Or is that?
Well, I'm going Niners, but I don't know if you are.
I mean, yeah, I would go Niners, but if I wasn't going Niners, I'd go Eagles. I think that they're the only better. I like the Lions, but I don't know. Goff and it's something about that team seems like they would crumble in
they almost lost to the Bears at home today.
Yeah, I mean any given Sunday, but I just mean in general playoffs. I'm not super confident in the Lions.
Danny, what do you think? What do you got?
Well, I'm kind of stuck on Rye's pre-frustrated comment. I'm thinking of a marketing way to market that. Pre-frustrated. Is it like a fabric stain or what? I mean, how do you pre-frustrated? Think about that. I've got the Niners.
or Eagles, and the Cowboys as a fringe possibility if everything went right in the playoffs for them because of their defense. And I know Detroit is not defensively the greatest, but man, their offense is explosive. They got a good offensive line. They could run the ball, and they're got a good passing game with tight end and Amon St.
There's
Brown.
a world where they avoid the Cowboys and then one of the Eagles or Niners, and just like only have to beat the one team in the NFC Championship at home.
Exactly. If they get the 1 seed, you never know. So I think I've got 4 teams, but the cream of the crop, the Eagles and the Niners, and I'll take the Niners. That's who I will pick. I picked it last week when we went out in the round robin. I had the first pick. I took the Niners. In the AFC, obviously the Chiefs, but there's a couple teams that could
Texans
that could give them some trouble in the playoffs if they face Cleveland with that defense. I know Cleveland can't score. They can't score, but still, I mean, Cleveland only gives up 10, 15 points a game.
Danny's been hot on Cleveland for the frickin' month.
I don't like their offense at all, but if they could figure out, maybe Tom Brady will come out of retirement, be the savior of their first world championship in Cleveland since win. No,
Art Bustamante says, Larry, you picked the Eagles last week. Yeah, I guess if I'm going with my heart, I would say Niners, Texans. If I'm going with my head, I'd probably go Eagles, Chiefs.
I'll tell you one other team.
Kind of like Daza, who says Super Bowl will be a repeat of last year.
Oh, and then we can all say, NFL scripted. They're just doing it for Taylor Swift.
Yeah. I do like Baltimore too, but let me give you a team.
What if all of a sudden the Chiefs get all these crazy calls in the playoffs and it becomes the Taylor Swift controversy?
Oh, that's never happened before.
Yeah.
Here's the team that a lot of people have already given up on. That
the Giants?
If the baseball Giants. Oh, right. If they get by, if they win 2 of the next 3, they're tough games. But the Bills, if they get through this and get in, they could be scary. Their defense, and if they can figure out the offense, today's game, it looked different. Even though they were playing the Jets, they started to not put all the pressure on Allen and Diggs. They tried to spread it around today and not make Allen and Diggs win the game. And I think they're going to be going with a different offensive philosophy the final weeks of the season.
I mean, you hardly ever see teams switch horses on their coordinators, in November and wind up standing at the end. We'll see how it goes. I think that's going to do it for us. But Kev, we wanted to make sure that we promote our Thanksgiving giveaway, right? So
right.
Go ahead and promote that.
Mojo Fantasy. If you click the link in the description and sign up with Mojo Fantasy, you'll automatically be entered to win 2 jerseys that we're giving away on Thanksgiving. It's a giving season.
Thanksgiving night, we're giving away a Purdy jersey and a Bosa jersey, but you have to sign up at mojofantasy.com and check that link Krug in the description and put your first deposit in. If you do that, you're automatically entered into a chance to win a Bosa or a Purdy jersey of your choice in your size. We haven't even ordered it yet. So everybody do. And from what we've been told, that we've only had certain number of signups. So you have a very good chance to actually win a jersey just by doing this. So go to Mojo Fantasy, check that link in the description, hit the promo code Krug, and everybody who does it automatically is entered into a drawing to win the Bosa or the Purdy jersey when we do a post game on Thanksgiving. I probably should ask you guys. JD, I've already checked with. JD's going to be in Seattle, and he's going to join us. Where are you guys going to be on Turkey Day? Should I invite you guys, or are you going to be girlfriending, or Danny? Are you going to be visiting with the over 55 crowd and won't have time for us? Baller, I mean, are you partying in Vegas? I mean, should we invite you guys to our Thanksgiving post Seattle game on Thursday night, or what's should we not?
It's going to be a short show.
I'm down.
It's going to be a shit show.
A short show.
Oh, short show.
Oh, short show.
Hopefully not
I'm
a shit
having
show.
Thanksgiving with Farhan. He just invited me.
Oh, we'll bring him on. Maybe bring him on. We'll pepper him with questions like, Farhan, I've got one question for you. What the fuck? That's the first question.
I'll be with the fam, but I will not be driving. And yes, send me the link. Whether I show up, I don't know yet.
Okay,
but
you might be in a tryptophan coma, but you could be there.
high probability. But if I'm awake and I'm not, then I'll be there.
That's all right. That's all right. We can even take partials. If I could be there, but it's not no lock. We got senior softball games. I think sounds like he knows me. He says, effing beam is lit, Larry. Your brother's going to have a field day with you on Thanksgiving. Go Kings. See, that's where you're wrong, because even though we're going to SAC for Thanksgiving, we're going to my in-laws, my wife's side. We will not be partying with the judge. We will stay away from the beam. There'll be no Kings discussion that night.
Maybe some Jim Beam.
Yeah, maybe Jim Beam.
Is there basketball on Thursday?
Yeah, JD, what's the basketball on Turkey Day? Is there any?
No, the NBA doesn't play on Thanksgiving. They did for a couple of years, and then they completely gave it up. So they don't do it anymore, but they do have a pretty full schedule the night before and the night after. And yeah, Jesus, the Kings are unstoppable right now. They're back to scoring 130 almost every game and winning single-handedly with their offense. It's like a carbon copy of last year. I think 6 in a row. They won in Dallas tonight. And they're beating everybody right now.
JD, I know this is a Niners stream, but can I at least ask one question on the Warrior front?
Do whatever you want, man. It's your show.
What are we going to do with Klay Thompson, guys? What are we going to do with Klay Thompson? Klay Thompson wants a big money extension, and Joe wants him, right? They can't do that. Somebody's got to get to Steph and say, Steph, you can win or you can go out with your guys, but you can't win and go out with your guys. So which is it going to be? What do you want to win? What do you want more? You want to win more or you want to go out with your guys more? Because if you want to go out with your guys more, that's fine. But
what if Steph says, I want to do both, send me packing.
JD, is that going to be one of the options?
I don't think he's going anywhere talking about Steph, but to me, it's still too soon for them to make that decision. I mean, one, they're not going to make that decision for Steph, but they just decided in May and throughout the summer that they were going to ride it out and see how it goes. Like it just, I get it. People are pissed and it doesn't look good. And Klay Thompson has been really bad in the last week. And he was kind of the first couple of weeks of the season, but before that. But I mean, they committed to doing it this way. And so I still think they're a couple of months away from making any kind of trade. I really do. I think it's going to have to get to the deadline or completely flame out, right? It's 6-8 now. To me, if it would almost have to get to a point where it's, 10-16, 10-18, something like that, where you're thinking, then you got to do something drastic. I think they're still in the try to get everybody back and try to get everybody healthy. And it was 6-2 and that can happen again. And I mean, we'll see. I mean, to me, it just looks too hard right now. Steph's got to do too much. Everything's got to be too perfect. The young players are fitting fine, but none of them are stars or pushing that envelope. Like Kuminga, fine. Moody, fine. Play them all. None of them are carrying you to anything. So, like, if you thought that was going to happen this year, get over it because it's not. And
if Klay doesn't finish with the Warriors, what team would he finish with?
I think he'd love to go to the Lakers. But, like, if he ends up pissed off and they don't make him an offer that he thinks is respectable enough, I think that's probably where he ends up. I think he probably, like, if he has to take a lesser deal, I think that's probably one of the places he would go. I mean, it's going to be tricky because I don't get the impression he wants to go to a shitty team and get paid. Like, hey, I'll go whoever has the most cap space, send me there. But I also think, we got to see how what his line looks like at the end of the year too. I mean, I think that will determine it. He made a big point about, I still shot 41% but you know what, Klay, again, you had just as many bad games last year as you've had like how many times last year did Clay have games that looked like the games of last week? All the freaking time. And, the hot nights carried it. It inflated his stats to a point where at the end of the year, he could look up and kind of give the bird to everybody and say, my numbers were great. I hit 300 threes and 41% and don't come down my road. But if you watch this team, as we all do, on a night in, night out basis, that half the freaking time he was killing them. and they didn't win hardly any games when he was bad. And guess what? He's been bad for the last week. They can't win any games.
Right.
So
what about some kind of swap, right? We heard Levine the Bulls gave Levine the option to negotiate some kind of trade, see what's out there. What about some kind of swap? I just looked at the contracts. They're somewhat similar. I don't think there's too much finagling you would have to do.
What else are you giving up, though? If I'm the Bulls, I want more because Clay's a salary dump, right?
Clay, and also, I believe Levine makes 43. I think Clay makes 33. So you'd have to come up with $10 million.
Yeah. So
you'd probably have to throw them Moody and
Kuminga.
I don't want to move Kuminga. I'd rather keep Kuminga.
Clay's contract says 43 from what I'm looking at this year.
But just from a roster construction.
It's 43?
Yeah.
Well, maybe they could be flipped for each other then.
You probably got to add some picks.
Yeah.
Okay, my thing is if you get rid of Clay, as much as I'm he should be the one that leaves, you don't have any shooting. I don't understand this thing that Kerr's doing with playing Pajemski and Chris Paul and Corey Joseph and Curry, all of these guards. And it's none of them can really shoot threes. None of them are that good on defense. They're small. And it's if you're going to be a small guard out there, especially in a 2-guard lineup, you have to be able to stroke it from 3. And my thinking is the only guy on the entire team that I could even see becoming a 3-and-D guy that could maybe replace Clay in the lineup is Moses Moody. But he doesn't get any run. He gets the same amount of minutes as Corey Joseph. And when he's out there, he actually does stuff and he looks big. And sometimes they have these lineups with Wiggins and Kuminga and Moody. And it's damn, this actually looks kind of good. This actually looks athletic like the rest of the freaking league that has massive, huge, athletic young guys.
Yeah, I tell you,
it's a tough call. It is a tough call.
Did you guys see I'm sure you did, but why in the world, with 1.2 seconds left, would you not just put guys around the perimeter of the 3-point line and don't even guard the inbounds pass? You got 5 defenders on 4, make him throw it, almost play like a zone. Instead, they fall into their trap and they got guys camped down there near the key and they fall for the screen. You knew a screen was coming. Just stand out there. That's just, I don't get it. Just perimeter. If he throws it across the court, go foul the guy or he's going to whatever. But that's just common sense to me. I don't know. 5 on 4. And you knew they had to play a 3. So stand 1 foot in front of on the backside of the 3-point line and make him throw it the perfect pass to get it for a 3 and then foul him on the pass.
It's gonna be a really interesting Warriors season for sure. All right, that's gonna do it for us, guys. We're closing in on 2 hours. I want to thank everybody, but first I want to promote each one of your guys' channels and what you guys got going on. First, we'll start with Baller because Baller's got. Let me move Baller into the center square here. Baller's got a big channel. Here it is. Wait, there we go. Move myself down there. There's Baller. Bay Area Baller 18. It's behind the underdog, but Bay Area Baller 18 is his channel. I want everybody. We got almost 1,000 people hanging. Go sign up at Bay Area Baller 18. He puts out great content. Baller, when do you go live next on your channel?
Hey, it'll be going down tomorrow night, right after Monday Night Football. Me and 3 of my buddies, we got the Straight Out of the Bay show. We'll be breaking down, recapping this Niners-Bucks game. I might watch it back a second time, see if I spied anything different, kind of hone in on some different areas, maybe the trenches. But, yeah, it's going down tomorrow night on my channel. I'd love all you guys to subscribe. We're on the road to 2K. So,
awesome.
Hey, Larry, thanks for having me, fellas. Love talking it up with you. You guys have a great Thanksgiving, and we'll talk soon.
Hopefully we'll talk Thanksgiving. Hopefully we'll talk to you on Thanksgiving. Baller, Bay Area Baller 18. Everybody go sign up on Baller's channel. Baller's the man. Let's welcome back to the center square Dan Coach Emilio, ladies and gentlemen. They're going crazy for Dan Coach Emilio. It's NorCal Sports Network is Danny's channel. Everybody hit a like and subscribe. One of the things that's coming up here in the next few weeks is the baseball maneuverings are going to happen. And once that starts happening, Danny's going to be going live around the clock. I'll be joining him on his channel. Hopefully he'll be joining me on my channel. We'll be talking a lot about the Giants' moves every step of the way, because what Danny and I have discovered is we're the only credible people that are not sucking up to the Giants that actually speak Giants baseball. So we will be going live talking Giants baseball. Everybody go sign up at NorCal Sports Network. Eric, Los, and all Danny's compadres over there are fantastic. They put out a lot of great content. Danny, when are you going live next?
We'll be going live in about an hour. We'll be going live right after Sunday Night Football. We'll recap the NFL today, recap a little bit the Niners, and then we'll get into a little bit of Giant stuff. Some stuff are starting to fall down a little bit with free agency. Aaron Nola re-signed with the Phillies today.
Yeah, I saw that. And the Giants were one of the teams that were supposedly favored to get him.
Yeah, they were one of the top two teams.
Surprised Farhan's not getting any of these guys.
Yeah, geez, surprise! I'm shocked. So, of
course, I just ordered my Cody Bellinger Yankees jersey as well. So,
so we, Farhan likes to go out and sign Alex Wood and Anthony DeSclafani for $22 million instead of Gosman. He'd rather go.
I'm just thrilled that Yaz and Slater are back. To the tune of like $9 million. It's like, what the hell is going on here?
And you just know they're elated that the fact that Michael Conforto opted back in. That just they're elated.
That's money well spent. Danny, good stuff, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks, Larry.
There you go. And then of course, Rye, West Coast Bias on YouTube, and Rye, tell us when you're going live again on your channel, and everybody go give Rye a like and a subscribe over there. The channel's fairly new. He just started it up in the last year, but he's building it and it's going great places. So Rye, tell us a little bit about when you're going live again next.
Ooh, yeah, I did. I've just got like a hair over 500 subscribers, so pretty small time potatoes. But I'll be going live either tonight or tomorrow around 3 to recap just all of the NFL. But definitely, I'd also say Tuesday. Tuesday we're gonna do like just a full blown degenerate betting Thanksgiving, like talking maybe even a little college basketball, just Thanksgiving Day gambling stuff. And then maybe you could probably see me live after a Warriors game. The other night I just went solo just for an hour and a half because I saw that.
And that was because that was after the controversial Draymond ridiculous retroactive that was just ridiculous. When I saw that, I'm like, Rye's got to be talking about that. Rye, hopefully you can jump in with us on Thanksgiving, but good luck to you, and we'll send you an invite on Thanksgiving. Good to see you, brother.
Thanks for giving me my flowers.
There you go.
Ryan is
Ryan
him.
Smith.
You are him.
He is him. He is him. All right, we'll put JD in the center square. JD, you're here with me at Levi's. When do you go next live on 95.7 The Game?
Yeah, I'm going to be on tomorrow with Steiny and Guru in the 1 o'clock hour. 1 o'clock hour. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of been our regular spot here on these Football Mondays. And so I'm going to be on with them and then head over to
Chase. Number one rated show in that time slot in sports talk radio in San Francisco right now.
Indeed it is. And so I love going on with those guys. Those are my guys. And I'll be on with them at 1. And then I'm going to head over to Chase and I'll be on with Warriors Live. I've got the pregame and the postgame. Warriors games just keep coming, man. They play the Rockets tomorrow night at home. It's the 6th game of a 6-game homestand, and they are 0-5 in the first 5 games of the homestand. Pretty incredible. You got to go back to the 15-50 COVID shortened year, the last time the Warriors were this bad at home in terms of a losing streak of 5 or more.
It looked so promising out of the gate, and now everything's crumbling.
They're 6-2.
Yeah, not good. They were 6-2. Now they're 6-8, and the Rockets have been a good young team. The Rockets lost their first 3 games, and then they won 6 straight, and then they lost in LA the other night. James Harden hit a big bucket late. So they're different with Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks, and the Warriors
Sengun.
have had a lot of Sengun's good player, very skilled big. And so they will play tomorrow at 7:00. And then so I'll be on with the pre and post. And then I'm going to be in this week from 2 to 6. I got a day with Dibs on Tuesday. And then I'm back with Warriors pre and post on Wednesday as they play in Phoenix. I will be doing that from the JD Walnut Creek home studio, pre and post game for the Warriors in Phoenix. And then early morning Thursday, headed to Seattle for the Niners and the Seahawks. And I'm going to join you guys and join the pre and post on 95.7 The Game. And then the Warriors play again on Friday. So this is a busy week. I love it. Holiday time, and glad I could join you guys. As
95.7 Brian says, did I see the Warriors are 7.5-point favorites tomorrow? Take the Rockets.
Back to back for the Rockets tomorrow. I was trying to look who they're playing. I think they're playing right now, or they played earlier. Yeah, they're playing the Lakers right now in LA, and they got a lead on the Lakers 43-42 in the second quarter. So back to back for Houston.
Don't sleep
rest
on the
advantage for the Warriors.
JD, we'll see you probably within the next 7 to 8 minutes.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'm gonna pack them up, man.
All right, we'll see you down here in a bit. Thanks, JD.
Thanks.
JD's fantastic. Check him out on 95.7 The Game. And then there were two. And we also have Juan Santiago with this little nugget. He says, Ryan Hensley is a clown for calling out Larry over 49ers beef. Never that serious. I mean, seriously, come on. Come on, Ryan. Can't we all be friends? You blocked me, you blocked Kev, but we never blocked you.
I never even interacted. I never even tweeted at the guy. I'm blocked by association. I'm blocked by
association. But I did call them clowns, I think, today. So I probably will be blocked for the foreseeable future. There are people that probably are connected to me that were also blocked, but we're not the only ones blocked. I took a lot of, I feel much better knowing that you and I are not the only ones blocked.
I don't really go at people on Twitter, so I don't feel like I should have any people blocked on me. You know,
it doesn't matter.
I don't really.
You associate with me, you get blocked.
I read, and I may like, and I comment, but I don't go that hard on people on Twitter.
No, really you don't. And you don't like when I do either. Jimbo says Kevin was awesome tonight.
I don't like my setup. Yeah,
he's kind of mediocre.
This setup it's uncomfortable. My back's. I was kind of just sitting here like kind of quiet tonight. I wasn't really feeling it.
Well, you're sitting in a room that has the video games, and so the other kids are sitting there going, "When is this freaking live stream going to end so I can go play PlayStation or whatever we got? What do we got? Xbox? What's our system?"
I think there's an Xbox in here.
Xbox. So. Woodpit 420 said Ted H2 is a tool, or is it something? Tard.
Yeah, oh, wait, no, I didn't.
That's not cool. Good. What about this one? We got this one from PK Man. He says, Mr. Larry, you talked to your brother about the Beam team? Screw him. Screw him and his Sacramento Kings. I can't. We're not seeing eye to eye. We're not going to speak on Thanksgiving. No. I love my brother, but he's a Kings fan. I'm a Warriors fan. We grew up. It's funny. We grew up in the same house. We were both Warriors fans, and now he's a Kings fan, and I'm still a Warriors fan. So there you go.
Right now, it's 17-12. Minnesota leads over the Denver Broncos.
Oh, really? I'm glad I didn't take Denver. I was thinking about betting Denver. That's going to do it. Let's thank our sponsors, Marin Auto Glass. Do we have where can we get our?
Oh yeah, I took that down because people were showing their things and I didn't want to block it. There you go.
So marinautoglass.com, 415-883-3030, marinautoglass.com. If you need a new windshield, go to Marin Auto Glass. New York style Italian sausage is phenomenal as well. Yes, the only kind of Italian sausage I will eat is New York style Italian sausage. I was there for the party earlier this week, and man, we drank like fish. And it was a lot of fun. And then thanks to our title sponsor of the Krug Show, Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week. And by the way, on the 17th of December for Niners Cardinals, Kev will be there, I believe. and we're going to do a meet and greet. We'll talk more about it between now and then, but we're going to do a meet and greet at the Corte Madera Pig and a Pickle from 1 to 5 on the 17th. Niners will be on the road against Arizona, and we're going to do a little meet and greet with the Krug Show Army there at Pig and a Pickle in Corte Madera. So please stop by and say hello. I'll be there. Kev will be there. I'll bring my entire family. We'll have a great time. We'll eat barbecue. We'll watch Niners.
Yeah. And send us a note if you're coming. I was going to say, send us a note if you're coming, just so we can get a head count, right?
Yeah, definitely. We'll do that as we get a little closer.
The Mojo.
Mick,
the Mojo.
wait a second before we get Mojo. Mick E. Wait a second. We just got a bunch of things here. Mick E says, "How was Larry's New York style sausage party? It was awesome. Are you kidding me? It was great. We drank, we ate, we hugged. It was a lot of good stuff going on there. New York style Italian sausage. I love Mike D'Ambrosio, Laura Pesavento, and all the good people at New York style Italian sausage. Really, really good time. Also, Mojo Fantasy on Thursday night, Thanksgiving night, we are giving away a Brock Purdy and a Nick Bosa jersey in your size. All you got to do is go to mojofantasy.com. Check that link in the description of the show. Make sure you type in the promo code Krug, and they'll match your first deposit up to $100. Everybody who signs up automatically is entered into a drawing to win the Bosa or the Purdy jersey, and the odds are good. The odds are in your favor. We looked at the number of people that have signed up, and it's there are people, but it's not like it's a foregone conclusion. But let's just say this: the odds will be really good that you'll get a jersey if you sign up. So we do have, it's not like you're guaranteed. I can't guarantee it, but the odds are high. The odds are high. Also, Underdog Fantasy. Let's tell people about Underdog Fantasy. Today I did my Underdog Fantasy. I think I actually did pretty good, Kev, on my Underdog Fantasy.
What'd you do?
Well, I mean, this is what I got. This is what I had today. Nick Bosa higher than a half a sack. Didn't he have a sack?
Yeah, he did.
Brandon Aiyuk higher than half a rushing or receiving touchdown. That's a winner. Rachaad White higher than 24.5 receiving yards. What did he wind up with?
That hit.
That hit?
Yeah.
And we're 3 for 3.
It should say. Does it not say on the app?
Oh, well, no, I'm looking at my picture on here. I'm not.
You should be looking.
So Rachaad White, receiving yards. Rachaad White had 6 catches for 28 yards. So, yeah. Chase Young, higher than a half a sack. He had one. And Chris Godwin, higher than, what is it?
54.
No, I can't see it. Oh, there it is. Higher than 51.5 receiving yards. What did Godwin wind up with? He had a terrible first half. No, that didn't hit. So I hit 4 out of 5. So we made money.
Oh, did you do it? Do you do the flex ones? Do you go flex play?
What meaning you can
power play, or there's I forget exactly what it's called. It's like a power and a flex. One of them's like you can miss one and still make money, and the other one's like you have to hit all 5.
Oh, I don't know. I'll have to check it out. But that's still pretty good. We're rolling on we may not have cashed today, but we surely did well. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. I'm getting ready to leave. I'm probably the last person here in the press box. JD's going to walk me out. We're going to go out to the car. But hey, Kev, we'll see you in a bit. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to New York Style. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle. Thanks to Underdog Fantasy, Mojo Fantasy, Marin Autoglass. Next week, we will have a brand new major sponsor to announce as well. They're very excited about that. We can't give away any of the details on that, but that is forthcoming, and that is going to be a very exciting thing for the channel. And I think that's going to do it for us. Everybody have a great night. Kev, we'll see you in a bit.
See ya.
Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon'